at.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Mechs on Deck. The bot in our server is stupid. Has not pinged yet. But
one day.
And I don't know if I'm gonna say this wrong. An acronym. Thank you for
an anachronism.
Thank you for the raid. Appreciate it. Thank you for bringing over your peeps. If you're new here, I'm Eric. This is Dave. We are Mechs on Deck, and we talk about keyboards. How you
doing? Good man. I don't know if I told you this, but so whenever I plug in a USB now, it says assaulted.
Oh, I thought it said box.
Oh, so that's when it unplugs, it goes box, and then when I plug it in, it goes assaulted.
That's funny. That's awesome.
So, you'll hear that on my next build stream when I inevitably like unplug something. So yeah, man, how are you? How's How was your weekend? Unfortunately, you did not get a 3-day weekend, but how was your weekend?
It was good. It was good. I didn't get a 3-day weekend, but I did have a good weekend. I chilled. Trying to think, what did I do on Saturday? I didn't really do anything. Just kind of enjoyed. I got a new rig for racing stuff. So it's nice to be able to just hop in and go. Whereas before I was having to like set everything up, move everything around to make it work. So it's nice to be able to just hop in and go. Been really enjoying the racing. Of course, we had our race on Sunday night, which we do. We may end up streaming one of them. Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, fuck it. If you don't want to watch it, then don't watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. But, what about you?
Yeah. So I had a 5-day weekend because
Yeah,
I
you
took
did.
Thursday and Friday off. I needed a break. I feel 10 times better. Like honestly, if you can like work around like maybe a 3-day weekend and then give yourself an extra day or two or something. We just add everyone in our Discord. Well, thank you, Upas. I will add everyone in our Discord, and then that will wake the bot up. So sorry for the double ping. We are live. So let's see. Link. All right. But yeah, like January was a very tough month, and February, it's like I never got like a rest. So I was just burnt out running on fumes. And I was sick the week before, and it was just I was so ready to like I would never quit because that's not financially a smart decision. But I was so like, oh, like it was the first time since early 2020 of working that I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to see any of my kids. I don't want any of this. I am working. I am here coasting and going home and wanting to just go to sleep. And I was hating it. While the kids were good today, I just felt refreshed today and felt better. So I was like, yeah, and Thursday, Friday, I was home by myself. I did some racing. I did a lot of sleeping. Ate some good food. Made some dope breakfasts. Had some of my favorite lunches. So it was just kind of try and take time to myself. So enjoy if you can. Just take a few days. If you work for a place that doesn't, I'm really sorry. Maybe consider finding some place that'll let you take a few days.
Yeah.
Because like it was a tweet that was like, I feel like we're all just over it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And as Upas just said in the chat, self-care is important. If you're feeling mentally drained, maybe take a couple days off, whether it's to just chill or you got somewhere you want to go and just take a mental break, go do it. But yeah, definitely very high value. Glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, I feel 10 times better. Like I slept so much. Just taking like 2-hour naps. It was great. If you're in that RC, that first sentence is where sadly it loses me. But the rest, please. If you're looking for some remote work, I got you, Upas. Anyway, our stream is sponsored by some lovely people. We have Canon Keys, of course. We're hiring remote too. Don't fucking tell me that, Upas. PM me after the stream. So anyway, we are sponsored by some amazing people. Omnitype, Project Keyboards, Canon Keys, and Kinetic Labs at the sponsorship level. Those links will help us and gives us a kickback to help continuing our stream. And we have some amazing partners, Zap Cables, Type-B, Smith & Root, 3D Keeps. We'll hear more from them later. And we do have, no pun intended?
Yeah, no pun intended.
Okay, no pun intended, coming on, designer of Cat, Napoleon, or is it Napoleonic? Yeah, Napoleonic. Napoleonic. GMK Prussian Blue, and a new set that we'll be focusing more on the new set here in a little bit But we'll go through this quickly because I want to get into the topic. So what is on your desk, and did you get any mail?
Perfect. Yeah. I did not get any mail, I don't think. No, I didn't. But what is on my desk? I am using, it still hasn't left my desk. My Iron 180 with nice PBT beige, classic beige. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. This has got the Boba U4Ts in it. First time I've built a board with these. I know I'm late to the party, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. I'm thinking about taking it to work, just like I took my SAT 75 to work for a little bit, just to get a little bit more typing on it, just because I don't really type all that much at home. Mainly it's a lot of WASD, shift, and spacebar, an accidental caps lock. But yeah, I really enjoy the board. It feels great. It looks good. It sounds good. Very classy. I feel like I've got my tuxedo on, my keyboard tuxedo. Now that I have a nice TKL.
There you go.
What about you?
I did get some mail, but first off, books in my ear. I'm using the Crown TKL, boys, in honor of you using your TKL. I pulled out the TKL this week. This has 100-gram creams on it with Modern Dolce Light. This was a private group buy keyboard. Look at that. That patina is looking, ooh,
There you go.
lovely. I'm loving it. This thing is my heaviest keyboard by a couple grams. It's a little bit heavier than the Baka 70. So it's always, I forget how heavy it is until I pull it out of the case. I'm like, holy fuck. It makes me laugh every time. I saw it. I'm excited for people for mail. So one thing I got, I'll show it off maybe next week. There's a stand, a 3D printed stand that a friend of mine made. So we got Hippo by Hippiotech. This is in conjunction with Kinetic Labs. This is the polycaps. Haven't really seen the set a whole lot because I opened the box up 20 minutes ago, but it's a nice purple white, like a lavender and white keycap set. So yeah, just a cool. I'm always curious. This is like very obviously the front of the box, but they're packed upside down. So I don't know who. There's some of the artisans, or not artisans, but novelties. Whoop, they're falling.
Ooh, nice.
Some cute little hippos. If you're all about the hippos. So yeah, it's a cool little. It's a very cool packaging. I like that they're working with Hippiotech's a big YouTube content creator. So very cool. And then we got the desk mat as well. And I will be this is a very lovely desk. Very serene.
Yeah, very clean, very nice.
And if something's wrong with it and you have to return it, I don't think you have to put a 4x4 square in it either. Anyway, that's not what tonight's
Casual
about. We will be we'll be giving this stuff away probably next week. So just because we do have a giveaway tonight, and tonight's all about Canon keys. So yeah, very cool. Excited for Hippiotech. I think that's really awesome. Eric and I have talked about it'd be cool to do a Mechs on deck themed with our new colors, of course, kind of keycap set. So those discussions have been had, but it's about finding the time to do it because, as we all know, shit takes time.
Yeah, it does. It does take time, and do we have it? Probably, but There's many. There's
other things.
There's other things to do. There's races to race. There's heads to shoot in video games.
Of course, heads to click on.
Yeah.
Pixels. So anyway, I was thinking about this a lot today, actually. And so there is this hobby we've talked about a lot, right? It's with the division. We've talked about the division of the hobby with, you kind of have your mainstream hobbyists, and then you have your kind of the bespoke boys still want to make that sweater. But you have the people that are in it, that are deep into the hobby, and then you have the people that, the I don't want to say, like, this sounds like I'm ripping on Glorious, but like the Glorious 75%, like they're the people that buy that board and are like, I'm in the hobby. You absolutely are, because you have a mechanical keyboard. That we're not, we're not trying to be exclusive here, but there is a difference between someone who happily enjoys their GMMK Pro versus insane people like Eric and I who own more boards than days of the week. So yeah. It's
and have like quite a few sets that are just sitting and don't have homes.
Yeah. So end of the day, I was thinking about this. I was like, we have the micro community and the macro community. And homeless caps. So the thought process I kind of had was how much there's I think it's over 1 million now on Reddit subscribers to our mechanical keyboard. So how much do streamers impact the macro community? So who are we talking about? We're not really talking about us. We might influence a handful of people. We might say, hey, we like this Switch, and they go, hey, we like these two dudes. So I might go buy those Switches. That helps us, right? We're a small community. We've been around for a long time, but we're a smaller compared to 1 million.
Yeah.
we're
very small.
very small subsection of the community. So what I'm talking about the Nathan Kims, the Apiaries, the Alex Odoses. In the macro level, still incredibly small. Nathan Kim obviously has a lot of weight. We've seen that a few years ago. I don't know if anyone else remembers. He said creams are the best switches for gaming. You could not find creams anywhere. That is a streamer influencing a macro style. Now, that was right after remind me that guy's name.
Tfue.
That was after the Tfue board and all that. So you're reaching a more macro audience, but a lot of this was influenced by a post that Teja said on his Instagram, where he posted a board and it's got the little like heart snap like emoji that a lot of people use on the back of the weight, or on the back of the board on the weight. And he says, the best weight I've ever seen, yada, yada, yada. So I was like, okay, streamers can 100% influence small group buys, right? If Nathan Kim says this board that only 100 boards are being run is one of the best boards I've ever typed on, that board will be next to impossible to get because, one, there are a lot of people already gunning for that board that don't even watch him. But now the thousands of people that do watch him, boom, are now going, hey, I want this board because he said it's a good one. You have the people that are going, he said this, now I want to buy it to make money off of it, making it very difficult to buy this board. Now, you take that with the opposite effect. Would the GMMK Pro fail if Teja came out and said, this board is shit?
Absolutely not. But that's because GMMK's presence, and they know this, right? That's why they haven't really, they've made adjustments to their marketing after Everything came out like it seems like every time they release marketing, especially when it was the GMMK Pro, and even mostly so the Glorious Panda situation, they don't really care. They're not marketing to our people. They're marketing to the people who see the board on Tifu's desk, don't know about anything about Nathan, and they're just like, well, I want something like that. And then GMMK Pro is making it more accessible, right?
Yeah.
Those are the people who, back when the Ducky 1-2 Mini became giant in Fortnite, went on that. They're the type of people who are waiting in line for the next Final Mouse. Like, that's the market for GMMK.
Yeah. The gamers.
Yeah.
The gamers. So it just had me thinking a lot. You know, I am sure there are people that don't buy from TKC because of us, because of what we say. I don't buy from TKC. Those 30 people are not affecting TKC's bottom line. You know, as far as I'm concerned, TKC doesn't give a shit about us, and that's okay. I don't care. And I know Eric doesn't care. TKC does not. I know they don't like us because we're friends with people like Apiary, who has a much bigger following, who took something that we complained about, and then she continued to complain about it and reached a much wider audience. That's what annoyed them. Because, again, some of these companies, like your Canon Keys, your TKC, your Novel Keys, those can be affected by the micro community. So it's one of those things that, like, this community is very strange. It's in a strange spot right now because there's all this essence of what the hobby used to be, right? Which is the smaller group buys. I've seen a lot of more private buys popping up. GMK is still hard to get, but we still have a lot of these keycaps that we can still post up. I don't even want to talk about fucking copycat keycap sets because I feel like we've talked about that so much this year already, and it's only February. So it's kind of one of those, like, when you think about streamers, you know, we're such a small subsection of the community. If you gathered all the viewers of all the Twitch streamers and YouTubers, I don't know if it would cross into substantial numbers. Yes, Nathan's got a lot of YouTube followers, but how many of those followers even own a keyboard, right? How many own a mechanical keyboard? And then even further, how many of those followers own a mechanical keyboard that's not a GMMK Pro, a Ducky 1-2 Mini, one of these?
Not just that, but like, how many of them own one of those but are interested in diving deeper, right? Because for a lot of people, as we've seen a couple people in chat say, GMMK Pro is the gateway drug into the community now for a lot of people, like the Tofu was. It's coming from a company that can market the absolute shit out of it to get it in front of the faces of a lot more people. Whereas before that wasn't as marketable. And then obviously when you put on top all the other streamers and other content creators getting involved in this, it really adds, it adds more and more to it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So it was one of those things that was kind of not humbling, because I don't think of us very highly. I make the joke like we're on the painting, but we've just been around for a long time. I love our small community. Have we hit the projections that we wanted to? No, but we also take this not as seriously and more fun, and both of us enjoy it more. If somebody says, hey, what do you think of this? I'll say yes, no, maybe, whatever. I'll a lot of the times recently it's, what do you think of this? I'm like, I've never even heard of that.
Yeah.
So just because there's so much stuff out now, but it's an interesting concept that Um, at the end of the day, even someone as, high up on the pedestal of keyboards as Teja and Apiary, they can say things that will have some weight, but it's not going to be hurting that kind of macro-sized community. And like, a lot of this also came from the fact that I'm like, I can sit here and scream at everybody, don't buy copies, don't buy clones, don't buy all that shit. It's, I might sway two people. And does that make me feel better? Maybe, probably. But if people, I go to bed at night knowing people are going to buy clones and that I can't do anything about it, and it doesn't bother me. Like, it sucks, but I don't lose sleep over it because it's not like I can really, really, truly do anything without taking huge like financial risks of being like, I have to fucking get a bajillion followers and do everything I can. It's like, just for what? For one thing that could, be affected from 0.001% to 0.01%. Like,
Yeah.
it's just not worth it. So how many people are buying clones, I wonder? A lot.
Well,
enough for them to keep making.
Not in this chat, I don't think.
Oh, not in this chat. I imagine there's a couple.
Very
a very few handful. But from the names that I see often, I can tell you for certain that the usual crew, as Eric and I say, the usual chatters, I can pretty much guarantee do not buy clones because I talk to them a lot and I'm happy to talk to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, yeah. I don't know if it's necessarily, it would be interesting to see if they could have, if like Nathan could have the same effect he did back when the whole creams debacle happened, because that was relatively a long time ago at this point, especially in terms of keyboard. That was what, 2019 when that happened. Yeah, and communities like doubled in size. So yeah, I don't know if he could. Maybe he would definitely have an impact. I'm sure he still does.
I wish I could be like, dude, say something stupid.
Like, say something wild.
Can you just say like, dude, like, I don't know, Gateron Blacks are now my favorite Switch of all time, and just see what happens.
Greetech Reds are the fucking shit, dude.
Just see what happens. Like, I want to get Nathan back on this show. We haven't had him on. He's genuinely a very I don't talk to him a lot because it's very hard to talk to him. I used to be able to message him all the time, like 2 or 3 years ago, but I consider him a friend. He is a fellow keyboard streamer as well. Obviously, we are not on that same level, but I'd love to get him back on because he is a very thoughtful person, and he's very good at what he does. Again, what I've said, while Nathan had a good bit of luck, he also worked very, very hard to get where he is. And I'm not saying that the luck part shouldn't cancel out the hard work that he did and the risks that he took by leaving like a very solid job to do everything. But to get to that point, 9 times out of 10, it's hard work plus luck equals success. So,
yeah,
it's kind of, and timing as well. So, I mean, if you look back 3 years ago, the amount of people that stream, there are more people online probably streaming keyboard shit right now than there were in total like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. Also, I want to say one thing. Deeds asked about High Ground, Nathan working with High Ground. I think this is probably not what most people's initial opinion is. I want to say props to High Ground and props to Nathan for being willing to take that on. Because that is something, getting a company that has the ability to bring someone in, right? Like 100 Thieves owns High Ground. 100 Thieves has fuckloads of money. They have lots of capital. Them bringing someone on, it gives them the opportunity to improve their products, and I have full trust that Nathan will steer them in a direction that is beneficial to both the community itself, as well as people who are wanting to enter the community. That's kind of something that I had wished that Glorious had done initially. I had asked
Yeah.
to be like, hey, get someone involved in from the community. It doesn't even have to be someone that's big in the community. Obviously, it makes a bigger splash, but if you get someone involved, they can help steer the company in a direction
Yeah.
that will be more working on both ends of the spectrum rather than just saying, we don't really care. We'll fix the PR mistakes later and we'll just, we'll do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah. So, and that's it. Look at who Nathan is sponsored by. Like, he has the community's best interest in mind 99% of the time. I don't know what that other 1% is. We probably don't even see that. But as we've stated before in the past, he's always been about trying to spread as wide of a net, cast as wide of a net as possible. So does it seem like, oh, he's just going to the higher ups? No, he's trying to spread, he's trying to cast a wider net. And whether or not he is successful in doing that is yet to be determined. Whether or not he can kind of prevent some of this shit from happening is yet to be determined. But hopefully, they can gain some good perspective. Or, you know, what I would hate to see is him go, I talked to them, they were shit, and they said fuck off, and then you can't do anything at that point, right? It's like, well, we sent in our best warrior, and they shut him down, so there you have it. But yeah, so I guess kind of a pin on that. We are going to take a very brief break. We're going to get, no pun intended, talk about some keycap sets, and we'll be back. So be right back in just a moment.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back, and we are joined by our special guest for the night. No pun intended. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, other than being a little under the weather.
Absolutely.
How's it going, man? So this is, for those who don't know, this is no pun intended. He is the designer of keycap sets, Cat Napoleonic, which had more keycaps in a set than I've ever seen in any keycap set ever. Maybe even twice as many. Impressive how many keycaps were in that set. GMK Prussian Blue, DSS Late Harvest, and a new one that we're going to be talking about tonight called Type 6. So very, very excited. Welcome to the show.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate getting a chance to chat about this. And not just, typing it out. I mean, typing's great, but yeah, to actually kind of get to talk to somebody about it and put faces and to sounds, and it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So first question, what is on your desk? What are you typing on today?
Right. So at work, I have a board of my own creation called the Jabberwocky. And if you dig around, you can find a picture of that. But here at home, I got this, I've been calling it the Chonkerdox. It's an Ergodox from Salvatech that's just massive. And I've got my key set on there, so I'm proudly showing that off. But it's big, but it's really nice to have the kind of like built-in rests. And I found that I didn't really need the tenting kit as much as I thought I was going to. So it's just been kind of fun to have something enormous like that. It's about the nicest Ergodox I could get. So
It looks like a cutting board just with keycaps on it.
Yeah. Honestly, Salva does some really interesting wooden stuff, but you have to be up for the particular types of keyboards he's got. It's a little different.
Absolutely. So starting, we it's been a minute since we've had a new guest on the show. I like it. I feel like I'm stretching some muscles I haven't stretched in a while.
Yeah.
How did you get into keyboards?
Well, so it actually did start with the Ergodox. Well, I'd been interested in keyboards a little bit off and on through the years, but I had gotten so frustrated with I'd gone through a series of Microsoft ergonomic rubber dome keyboards, one after the other. They just kept wearing out. Like it was a layout I was cool with that I generally liked, but then either it would just the keys would start sticking, or if it was wireless, that would go haywire. It got so frustrating. And so I started looking into like mechanical keyboard options that might sort of hold up, and ended up finding the Ergodox easy and spending what I thought was a lot of money at the time. Although now I'm so deep in the hobby that I realized that it was probably about half as much, or far less than half as much as what a really good keyboard would cost. And yeah, just really discovering that I liked it. And then I discovered how hard it was to get keycaps for the Ergodox, and that led me down this whole rabbit hole of kitting and running group buys and things like that. And I had like an early IC that, after several different price quotes from SP, I realized was going to be completely a non-starter. And so for the niche that I was aiming for. So yeah, it's been an interesting path, and I've actually started it actually kind of incorporated as a business. I've gotten my LLC license. I'm doing my taxes. So it's official now.
Yeah. We know how that is. We know how that is. At least, I guess not really like 100% keyboard related, but with content, yeah, it gets rough having to do the sole
You're so kind saying
stuff.
You're so kind saying when I don't do any of that shit. Eric does all of the heavy lifting. I just show up, man.
No, you do a lot of the stuff here. I do the taxes and stuff, but
we hire an accountant. It's just easier that way.
Yeah, I remember Garrett from OmniType. He was like, make sure I don't alert the IRS for fraud.
Yeah. For me, the only thing I really had to keep track of was like quarterlies. Because I have no way of estimating what my actual tax requirement will be. So it's just like, all right, what's my gross? Send him 10% for the quarter. All right, call it a day. Maybe that'll do.
Yeah.
And then we'll reconcile it all at the end. But yeah, so we'll see how that goes. It's been interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely has. The one thing, how, like, I know you kind of mentioned it a little bit there, but obviously you've designed quite a few keycap sets now at this point. How did you get into that niche of the hobby, and what drew you to that? Have you always been into design and stuff like that?
Well, I've had some experience with other types of design in sort of different creative avenues. I did a little writing in college and kind of determined that really wasn't a good path for me long term. And I started designing board game variants. So, like, I do a lot of map designing where I take, especially for the game Diplomacy, if you've ever heard of that, as a game from like the 50s, where like the classic game is you put 7 people around a table and it's approximately World War One, and these 7 countries kind of bicker and fight and murder each other until either they give up or somebody has gotten half the board. So that kind of mechanism, it's fun to make your own variants for it, and I've been GMing those off and on through the past several years, and when you're playing it online, it can like take ages. So I'm currently running a game that's been going for months upon months. But yeah, it's been fun, and it got me really interested in. It helped kind of reawaken an interest in history and design. I kind of had to teach myself how to use Inkscape, and so I've got a pretty decent skill set down for working in vectors. I'm still trash at 3D, absolute trash at 3D. So I don't do renders. It's just that's not what I do. But yeah, it's been fun, and what was really kind of cool with the keycap set aspect was realizing that all this work, all this kind of attention to detail that I was doing was something that could actually like be something someone would actually buy. You know, they could. I'm not making like tons and tons of money off of it, but there's some value to it. Someone actually cares enough to buy my product. So that was just really cool.
It's a rewarding feeling when you're like, oh shit, someone is willing to spend money on something that I created. It's like it's a weird feeling. So yeah, I get that. And that backstory, like, art almost makes me want to go like, all right, let's go find. I don't even like cat.
Yeah, right.
Like, I like that. You know, I'm a big fan of like D&D, so very similar aspects of like gaming. But I like Eric's always said this a bunch. I'm gonna steal it from him, but I love having keycap designers on, especially on like artisan designers as well. When you find out the kind of history behind things, you get more of an appreciation for the things that they create. And already, I'm like, all right, Cat Napoleonic. Napoleonic. And knowing that you GM stuff, I'm like, yeah, no shit. He's got 15,000 different kits because you got to be ready for anything.
Yeah. So kitting has kind of become a niche that I've been filling, I guess. It's one of those, especially because I got interested in localization. And that's kind of where Cat Napoleonic came about. It was sort of like I have my interest in history on one side and my interest in localization on the other. And here's this manufacturer that promises that you can make even the craziest shit you want. So let's go for it. Let's do it. And so, yeah, it was nice to kind of, for that first set to work without a whole lot of restrictions. That doesn't always pan out for basically anybody else, and there comes a cost. I mean, y'all are aware of how frustrated people are with Key Creative, and I mean, God love them. I really hope that they do well with the set, but it sometimes is really frustrating. And so we'll see how it all plays out. I'm confident in the colors, and I'm glad that I have a set that just literally can't go into the double shot queue, so it didn't get that sort of delay. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Plus, it's nice to be like the ergo community probably gets kind of screwed out of a lot of sets more so than even the 40s guys, like the ergo docs people. So it's cool to have someone you were big into that, and that was kind of your bridge into this whole community,
Yeah.
because you bring that to the table with your sets, which is really nice, and I'm sure there's quite a few
Yeah,
people.
I really have a passion for trying to branch out compatibility in ways that I can. The set we're going to show off tonight with nice PBT Type 6 has a little more limited capacity in that range, just because at the time I was starting on this, the capabilities of the manufacturer just weren't quite up to doing all the crazy stuff I usually want. But I'm hoping, trying a little bit of an experiment with Prussian, hoping that things pan out with it. So the popularization of the sort of 3-key compatibility to get 40s into GMK base kits. I'm going to run a little experiment with Prussian blue, and I've added just enough keys to cover a very basic level of ergodox support. So like the escape and delete key in R1, both 1.5U, which also provide compatibility for the infamously hard to cover Vortex Race 3. And an extra, I ended up landing on caps lock just because I realized, like, I'm never going to get exactly the legend that people actually use there right, and there is no other caps lock on the board that they're going to have, so at least it will look unique. So I went with an R3 caps lock in 1.5, and between that and everything else that's already in the set, you could actually cover an ergodox. The vertical keys will look a little weird, but it'll do.
Hey, you're the people's champion for that.
We'll see how that goes.
So, and you want to show that off real quick with your DSA? I know it was on the late harvest.
Late harvest, yeah.
So shows off. I saw that it was on there.
Let me actually give me just a moment. So this one will probably show it a little better. I have the ergodox set up, but this is actually a Vortex Race 3. So this had the same kind of deal. This was a DSS set, so run with SP. And DSS, for viewers who aren't as familiar, it's actually the bigger sibling of DSA. They made DSS first, and it wasn't super popular. Then they kind of reformulated it into a uniform format, and that blew up for the preceding company, the Signature Plastics, if I remember correctly. But then they brought it back a couple of years ago, and so it's basically sculpted DSA, more or less. But I like it quite a lot. It was one of my first custom sets that I could get at all for the ergodox was DSS Dolch, and so that kind of got me on the DSS bandwagon. And then for this set, I put together. I wanted to also do something different with accents, so RGB kind of mod style accents, where Control and Alt and Shift have a particular color that differs from the other mods. Follows on from I think it's the Desco company that added those to their model keyboards, and is a very different approach to accents than the sort of Dolch Honeywell model of having escape and enter colored. And those sets are great. Don't get me wrong about escape and enter, but it just felt like there's been a lot of activity in that space and not a whole lot of challenging of accents in interesting ways. Like some people will make like face sets or like ridiculous gradients or things. I mean, I've even tried making a gradient set, so I get it. Like you're just trying all sorts of different stuff. But like to find a core accent motif, something that structurally is a little different, is hard. And so Desco RGB mods was kind of something that I landed on and decided, this could be really interesting. And so yeah, that's how Late Harvest came about. I was looking to try to do something different with accents, and I found a set of colors. Actually, on the Adobe Color Library, they have just lists and lists of inspirations of color, kind of families and things like that you can play with. And I started there and then tweaked the hell out of it. But yeah, so that's where that came about. But yeah, that's actually shipping now, so that's exciting. It was really wild to have that and Type 6 kind of arrive at my doorstep within days of each other, even though the actual projects were pretty spread out. And of course, my first set, Napoleonic, is probably not coming for several months. So.
Well, that's how it goes. That's how it goes.
GMK will be a couple of years, so you're all right.
Yeah, and I feel a little bad on that one because like I've got this massive box of TKLs that are going to a couple different schools out in Oklahoma for people who actually teach Cherokee, and like we were really hoping to have it this past year because it's like the 200th anniversary of Sequoia and the invention of the Cherokee syllabary, but it's just going to have to happen when it happens.
Yeah.
Like, dang it, we're really hoping
you tried, and that's what's important.
Yeah, we really tried.
So, shifting gears though, you have a new set coming out through Cannon Keys. Very excited about that. So Type 6, looking so fly like a Type 6. That's the name of the episode. So yeah, it's let's see. I haven't even seen it.
Okay, so we'll start with the keyboard that was the inspiration for this.
All right.
Ooh.
So I was a Sun Microsystems employee for a couple of years as what they called a campus evangelist. It was like we kind of advertised the open source solutions that Sun was offering to our fellow students and things like that. It was not the greatest of jobs, but it paid well, and I did my best. But I also kind of had this affinity for Sun Microsystems. We had a bunch of these like massive, absolutely massive purple monitors with the Sun stations in our college labs. And I had recognized this keyboard over and over and over again. So I ended up deciding, I didn't see anybody else doing this. Like this one this Honeywell got picked up. The 9009, the Reuters keyboard got picked up. Gosh, I even bought a Bloomberg keyboard, and lo and behold, both Mito and some other dude want to do a Bloomberg set at the same time. So I'm like, crap, well, can't do that one. So I'm mining for these vintage set kind of ideas, and the Sun keyboard just came to mind. And because it's not actually a mechanical keyboard, I think it hit under the radar. It's a good rubber dome, but it's a Fujitsu rubber dome with a kind of curved back plane. So like the keycaps are actually uniform on the original. But one thing that kind of struck me about it is that it has legends in the top left that are very clean and concise. Which is different than the kind of left center legends that we've gotten used to with Cherry, or the very centered legends for Gorton, whether you're talking about SP or G&K or something like that. And so I wanted to do something that it wouldn't be a perfect replica of it, because there's just some differences with the Cherry keycaps, and I wanted to tweak some things. But I wanted to do something that would be at least a faithful recreation of it. And so that's where this came in. So I have this on a split TBO sync keyboard because this is the only board I have with macro columns. But let's see. So see the top left alignment and lots of tweaking of alignments to get things right in terms of where the numbers would be and where the punctuation would be. I ran pictures of the keyboard through a font analysis tool to try to find something that was similar. And the closest thing I could find was this font called Scano, so I bought a license for that. And so each and every key has been painstakingly tweaked to try to get it not exactly, like in every case, exactly like the old one, but as close as I could with still being a faithful recreation of it. And so along those lines, we have almost all the icons used just very simple arrows in the old Sun Microsystems Type 6. And that's where the name comes from. The keyboards, they're Type 6. They had a Type 5 and a Type 3 and a Type 7 and whatever. The Type 6 was just this one that had kind of a purple accent on the back, which is where, like, the accent keys here are purple, even though they wouldn't have been on the actual board, but that's just sort of representing the plastic on the back of the board. The ink, so this is actually something that's going to be really hard to see on camera, but it's not black. It's this super, super, super dark purple that in most lighting contexts will look like black. But that was the same with the rubber dome board, is that it had this like little bit of a blue purple shimmer. And so I found as dark a purple as I could possibly find in the Pantone book, and it worked out really well. It's the sort of thing that you don't notice on every cap, but especially there's let me show you this. So they had this moon cap, which was kind of like a shutdown button on the old keyboard, and sometimes it would be the kind of on-off symbol with the circle and the line. But this one in person really shows off that deep purple because it's just inked broadly as opposed to the sort of thin strokes elsewhere. So I'm really pleased with how this came out. It took a few iterations to get the alignment all right. It was a kind of communication thing with nice PBT over basically making sure they gave us the actual template that they would use to ink the keys with, as opposed to just some template that they thought would be useful to us. Like, no, really, I know what I'm doing. I can put the ink on there. I know how to center it properly. Like,
that's
please,
the Ron Swanson's like, do you know I know more than you?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't quite that, because clearly they know how their factory runs, but it's like, don't try to fix my stuff. Just please just let me put it in the file.
It's like I'm not as smart as you, but I'm not an idiot.
Yeah. It was just weird little things like the asterisk over the 8. So the asterisk happens to be a shorter character, and they were trying to line up everything with like an invisible top left spot. But because the asterisk over the 8 is just slightly shorter than the nearby characters, it meant that the 8 got shifted up just a hair. Like, no, stop doing that. Leave it where it was. But once we got all that resolved, I'm just so tickled at how it turned out. It's such a good set, and it's got these classic macro keys that I cannot for the life of me find what some of these actually used to do. Like, I've been digging around, and it's been really hard. Like, stop, again, help, props. Like, help, I'm guessing, is like something similar to what F1 does in a lot of programs today. Front? Like, what's a front key? I don't know, but it's just makes me happy.
What does props do? That's what I want to know. What? Props. What does props do?
Exactly, props. What does props do?
I would see now. I want the key set just so when I hit props, it just like plays like, "Hey man, you're crushing it today." Yeah. Props.
Motivational speech.
Somebody made a little emoji for my Discord server with the props key, but the problem is it just doesn't fit very well in an emoji.
I love it.
Tiny.
So Upas is saying, "Show off the box."
Oh, so this was fun. Okay, so in the same vein, this
that's
is
cool.
Modeled off of the old Spark Station computers. So we have the kind of like back grill, and then where the drive would be, and
so it's like it literally is a computer.
It's like a computer, yeah.
That's fucking cool.
That's sick.
So yeah, I'm very proud of how the box turned out. This is fun. And
that's a box I might even keep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and if I don't know if you know this, around these parts, I don't like trays and I don't like keeping boxes. I'm more of a bag person, but that is one of the best boxes I've seen in a long time.
That'd be like a display. Like you put that out somewhere, you know, you put that in the background. No, I think it's awesome. I really enjoy the fact that it has the thinner legends. I think that's it's such a nice little change that is different, and makes it feel like it's a completely different style of key set, even though it's something that you would be like, that's not that big of a deal, but it makes such a huge difference in the way the set comes across aesthetically.
And it helps kind of distinguish it between, because there's lots of great sets out there. I mean, but I think having something that captures a very different approach to typeface and a very different approach to the ink, and really just uses the strength of dye sublimation to its best potential. Because some of the little details on here would be hard to bring to a double shot setup. You wouldn't get the nice tight corners. So yeah, I knew going into this that this was probably going to need to be a dye sub set. I had looked at a couple options, I'd started looking at DCS die sub, and the price was just insane on that. And so, when I saw that Canon Keys was doing these in stock PBT sets, I approached Upas and said, would this be something that you'd be interested in, that I could work with you on? And and it worked out. Of the key sets I've worked on, it is the least stress. It took a while to get everything done, but no dealing with renders or people fetching about whether or not it's too close to some other set. We're able to do the marketing for it basically right now when it's just about to come in stock, as opposed to like, hey, buy my thing that you might not see for 2 years. So it is. It's been a great experience, and I'm glad to be one of the first designers to make a nice PBT set specifically for nice PBT. There's, I think, I want to say Anna did Palo, and then of course there's a number of in-house Canon Keys sets that they've done. And a friend, DD Klein, is doing F Basic, and I think they've got a big announcement that they'll do for that. And there's probably some others out in the mix that I'm just not aware of. But it's kind of neat to have sets that are taking on the strengths of die sub specifically, and with all due respect to some of the other sets, but not trying to just be the same colorway as something that ran in GMK. That's great, and that's especially fills a niche for the market, that people who want those colors. And good Lord, please give real designers that money instead of buying some terrible AliExpress clone. But it's there. It's kind of nice to have something that was made for this medium, and I'm really proud to be one of the pioneers. Isn't the right word, but one of the kind of early adopters. So that should be really neat.
Yeah, no, it's great, because I think it is somewhat of a shift in the community. The thing that the angle I've always taken and vocalized here on stream, especially over the last couple months, about clones and AliExpress sets, is yeah, sure, I understand the reasons why someone would want to do that from a cost perspective, a time perspective, but at the end of the day, you're not supporting the designers, you're not supporting the vendors that make this community, that continue the growth of the hobby. Whereas now we're with what is happening with nice PBT, it's that this is a full set. This versus what you would get from a GMK set is just about the same in terms of the experience, the what you're getting as far as keycaps. Obviously, there is some limit to what they can do as far as compatibility, but for the most part, for most of people, this is a freaking banging option. You get to support the community, you get the fancy box, you're getting desk mats to go along with it and stuff like that. It's the whole shebang.
Yeah, I don't think we're doing a desk mat for this, but we are. It isn't final yet, but we are looking at making at least an acrylic sort of small GB of a version of the board that's just absolutely massive. So we would have a full size with the full macro columns, just something wonderfully ridiculous that's got way too many keys that nobody needs. I'm hoping that can come together. I've got some work still to do on the PCB for that. But yeah, just having something that feels like a kind of, I don't know, back when I was in video games, it was the AAA games or whatever. So a AAA set, but to have it come out in this fashion, straight to stock, it's just so pleasant. It's something that I don't feel any guilt over shilling to people, because it's not oh gosh, I'm asking you to pre-order something and wait, and then later I'll have to tell you to wait some more. So it's so wonderful, and I am really excited to see people using it. I know it's not going to be everybody's favorite, because not everybody likes the top left legends and things like that. And it is a very gray set, but I mean, gray is classic, and there's a lot of good boards that it'll fit on. So Yeah, if we ever get to do a second run of it, I'd love to add a little more physical compatibility. When we started on this, Nice PPT did not yet have capability to do like 40 support and things like that. And in the future, I'd like to be able to. But yeah, this is something special for me, and I'm really glad that it came out as well as it did.
So one thing that I just want to point out, and we've had a lot of guests on, we've had a lot of keycap designers. So I don't say this lightly. You seem more excited about this key set than any other guest we've had on about their key sets. And that's not a slam at everybody else, but like I really enjoy seeing the chat has been talking about it too. And I know chat agrees with me. Like I'm would I buy this set if I had no idea of it? I don't know, maybe not. But I also like bright, super shiny colors. I'm like a fish basically. But I'm like, now, all right, time to fucking let's buy this key set because I appreciate it and I appreciate people that put in hard work to do so. And it's just cool. Like it's cool. Like it just makes me want to. Honestly, what it makes me want to do is it makes me want to go find like a vintage board. And if I can find like a vintage MX style board, slap it on that instead.
And this is a set that's just, especially if you can find anything with macro columns, like it is just made for that. I've even got this massive 2U help key that nobody's gonna have. Like nobody's gonna have. But it's there.
That's the important part. It is there. So I'm just props, just absolute props. And I'm
Yeah.
Exactly. There it is. Like what other fucking set has props to it? So I'm very. When is this going live?
I believe it's February 28th. So basically a week from now. And I think it's gotten here on the slow boat from China. Which like that's just the challenge these days. Is like when I got mine like a month ago because the one or two sample sets they needed to ship fast, but the rest of them they just needed to take their time. So
when I ran my first group buy, Eric was a part of it. My group buy sat in a warehouse, in a FedEx warehouse for 2 weeks, and every single day they scanned it, and that's all they did. So this was like there was like 19 other people. So every single day I would post a picture of it. It was
the scanned.
It
was in like Germany too, right? Like it was
in China. It was in China.
Yeah,
it was just
my first ever GMK group buy. It got on the slow boat across the Atlantic, and man, that thing did not show up for months. It was like Europe had all these pretty pictures of this set coming out, and like, I want mine.
Yeah, right.
Where do I get mine? And I was realizing that this is probably a pain that like a lot of people outside of U.S. and Europe feel. I mean, gosh, I don't know how long it takes sets to get to Australia or South America or wherever they are. But yeah,
it's an annoying feeling.
Yeah.
Sitting there patiently waiting.
It's not the end of the world because, like, really, what's the difference of a month or so when you've already been waiting like that long? But everybody else got it. It's like, oh damn it!
At least with this set, you order it Monday, it could get there Friday, depending on where you live. So that's another thing. You touched on it earlier, but I love that you kind of release it and then it's done. And then within 2 weeks. It's like March is your month because it comes out February 28th. It comes out the last day of the month. So no one's going to get it until March. But then for the next month, it's going to be kind of like, hey, this is the set of the month is March. So
yeah, and I hope people like it. I hope people put it on their boards and put it on Instagram or RMK or share it on. Not just because like the attention, but like it's just nice to know that the things you make matter at least a small bit to other people. That it's not just something that you've spent all your creative energies on that goes into a box of memories. That it's a real thing. that people thought was valuable enough to pay for. It's so wild to me, and I'm so glad that we could make it affordable. I don't know what the actual final price point ended up being, but
Boss, if you have that, can you let us know?
but because it's all traditional die sub, like far more affordable. Like the amount of the sort of factory costs that go into it, and because of that means that we could potentially sell more of it, and that's something I think people miss, is that sometimes if you can bring that pricing down to a more tolerable level, you end up making more money. So it's like it's not that I'm being altruistic entirely by making this like, oh well, we're going to make this inexpensive set. It's like if you can make something easier for people to pick up, then they will more likely pick it up.
Yep.
And so that's the fundamental problem of kitting. Whenever we're talking about kitting for GMK or CAD or whichever set that they're running, is how do we balance the needs of bringing the various audiences together for this product with the need to keep the price from going astronomically high.
Yeah.
And that's hard. It is so hard. Cat made it easy in some weird ways and then gave you a different type of hard. But like most manufacturers, you really have to like actually think about this stuff. You can't just hope that you can copy somebody else's kitting and call it a day. Like you really ought to think about this stuff. And we do it all the time in the KRK server, where I've become sort of mini mod, I guess. And it's I enjoy it. I enjoy a lot of aspects about this. I've even gotten to present about keyboards at work, which was fun. Talked about just some basics about not just mechanical keyboards, but also just about how localization happens. The sort of operating system layer that translates the key press into the actual character output. I amazed some people that had never heard of U.S. International Layout before and had been typing in horrid like alt codes in order to get accented E's and things like that. I'm like, oh, good Lord, man, just like hold down the right hand alt key. Like, like you can get lots of things that way. You can, it's a really fun hobby. I wish there was a little less drama, but that kind of goes with any human.
Hey, if there was less drama, we'd be out of a job.
Yeah.
Now, regardless of what the price is I assume it will be sub 100.
No, yeah.
Don't pull your wallets out yet, because we're giving away a set right now. So it was very generous of Upas and our new awesome friend, no pun intended, who I'm so excited to know you, because it's a very refreshing feeling seeing someone be so excited about a key set that they designed. Again, I'm not taking a stab at anybody else.
Stoked.
Oh, no.
It gets you
But
stoked about the community.
I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Let's go more. Now I need a fucking keyboard to put this on. Like,
well, I'm glad that my enthusiasm has translated well.
So now I gotta go spend money at Candy Keys. Damn. So yeah. We're which, by the way, if you guys are going to be buying this keycap set, Mechs on candykeys.com/Mechs on deck for a nice little kickback. And so God, I love that emote, the Erig emote. It's so good. It's so good. Shout out to Tyruson who made that. So while we get this set up, guys, vote in chat for what actually, do you have a favorite number? Or why don't we do 6?
Type 6? Do race number 6?
Do race number 6 for the type 6.
Okay. Here, and I'll stream it to y'all real quick. Let me do that. Share your screen. This. Go live.
God damn it, gnarly Charlie.
And then let me... Whoop. I'm messing this all up. I'll turn off mode. Oh, how do I make this not be here? All right.
Watch stream.
I can't do this correctly.
No worries, dude. Just give us the shout outs.
All right. Just trying to make it to where I could have it to where y'all could see it in real time so I'm not ahead. But we are going to do a marbles run, which if you're not familiar with marbles, it's literally like the old school marbles games that you would play where you build like the tower and you drop marbles and whoever gets there first wins. That's what we're going to do for the giveaway. And for type 6, we're going to do the number 6 race, which is twists and turns. So to be entered to win, hit !play in chat right now. And yeah.
Oh man. I'm doing the stream with Discord, so I'm not able to see the chat.
Well, now it's just a lot of.
I'll have to look at the video and see what this looks like. This sounds very interesting.
It is quite a bit of fun. It's quite a bit of fun. If you've never been on a stream for giveaways for marbles, it is a good time. It's surprising how entertaining watching little digital balls go down a track is.
I love that Upas joined.
Yeah, right?
Upas wins. I want Upas to win so bad. Just to get everyone livid. Anyway, while you guys are joining, I'll do a quick sponsor shout out. We've, of course, sponsored by Canonkeys, canonkeys.com/Mechs on deck. The 28th is when the PBT Type 6 is going to be coming out. Anubis switch is back in stock, so go check that out. The J-Wick Black Linears, which I really need to try, are in stock now. Corb's Linear switches by Tiny, so I love that he's doing creators. Like we're the second. We took a page out of Minterly's book because she did the seals. Then there's the Anubis, and now there's the Corbs. So pretty cool. And if I listed off everything that's on Canon Keys, I would be talking for 10 minutes. So go check out canonkeys.com/Mechs on deck. It helps us out. Next up, we have Omnitype. Omnitype, obviously very busy running getting everything ready for the Bower Light, getting all those Bowers out. But there are some desk mats and stuff like that on, and they also serve Pokeballs, which we'll get Garrett on to talk about.
Yeah, to talk about the Pokeballs.
Pokeballs.
Come on our show and talk about your balls.
Yes. Yeah. God damn it. So check that out. Project Keyboards. Again, lots of really cool, lots of cool keycap sets that you can still go get pre-orders for. So Hangul round 2 is running right now, which is excellent. But the pre-orders, you still can get a lot of these sets. Bingsu round 2, hugely popular set. GMK Noir, GMK Dolch, GMK Sumi, all these sets are GMK Astral Light, a lot of sets that are very well liked in the community that you can go get right now. You can go be a part of the group buy.
You don't have to wait
reserve
as long.
your set. Yes. So check that out. And then Kinetic Labs, of course, the Hippo set coming out very soon. So go check that out, as well as some other very cool items that we do recommend the Hippo switches from them. And of course, our awesome partners, Smith and Rune, smithandrune.com. You can check that out. They've got some cool merch, and keep an eye out on some new stuff coming soon from them. We've got 3D Keybs. You can go check out the Church of Zyko's desk mat that Jinli Bean and myself worked on. She did pretty much everything. I just kind of was like, hey, this would be cool. That's the story of my life in keyboards. Is someone does all the work, and I just kind of
put your name on it.
There, I just put my name on it. I'm like, oh,
you're the marketing, yeah.
I'm the marketing guy. I'm just, I think I can't. I don't remember who came up with the idea, but we did come up with the idea together, playing D&D at that time. So, but lots of other great stuff. Eric and I highly recommend the U4T switches as well from 3D Keep. So check that out. Type Beast, go to typeba.st for an awesome newsletter. And Zap cables if you want to build your own cable. If you want to. They also sell good cables. They have some really cool desk mats on there, so check all that out.
All right, so we're about to start the marble race. If you haven't entered yet, !play in the chat to win a set of Type 6, nice PBT Type 6, which is going on sale next Monday, the 28th. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it started. We've got you got 10 seconds left to get involved in this.
I have no idea how we'll do this. I assume you send us an email and we'll get that to UPAS and deal with that later. So here we go. You're like obviously very.
We're going around town.
Come on, Abracadaniel, let's go. Come on, my wife.
Chewy's a little, or Dave's a little
biased
there. Abracadaniel, Ahmad, also wife of Dave, is currently in the lead by quite a considerable margin. Oh man, I don't know if we've actually ever done this track before.
I don't know either, but I like it. Very purple.
What? There's another track thingy over in the distance. What is that one for?
Maybe someone was making this and then was like, fuck, and started over.
They messed up.
They like copy pasted it and just said, well, I got 90% of the way there.
Also, no pun intended, I did want to give you a shout out for on your Prussian blue set. You have what might be the most detailed and like most well put together comparison of the colors between that and other sets. Yes. I was looking at that earlier and I was like,
honestly, that should just be
awesome.
Available for everyone because that's good for all those sets. It's just good to know. Oh,
pew pew laser.
She can still get a good boost.
But yeah, that was a really good format for that because I as you alluded to earlier, it is difficult when you're dealing with for GMK sets. A lot of people tend to get upset because it may be close.
It's something I encountered almost immediately with Cat Napoleonic, even before I had an IC actually up. I was just putting out feelers to ask about certain aspects, and they're like, "This looks too much like X." And I'm like, "Oh crap! Now I got to go like find that designer, and are they going to hog the crayon in the crayon box and say no, you can't have this blue?" And yeah, so that was a bit of a pain. Ended up making a better set out of going through that process and realizing that we don't have. Like, this entire community doesn't have IP protections at all. There's really very, very little about what we do in keycaps that has any sort of legal standing. And so we kind of just have to come up with our own standards as we go. And so this vetting of previous sets is just part of that. It's not the most fun thing in the world to do, but if you can put together your comparison, if you can kind of go out and find things that might be similar and say, hey, look side by side, at least at the color standard side by side, and say, okay, how much is this going to differ? Because to me, certain things might be super obvious that they're different, but to others, they might not be. And just to go ahead and prepare and say, look, I've done my research. And here are the various sets that I think could be close. Please don't plague my Reddit posts with ridiculous long threads or spend my entire Geek Hack post complaining about whether this is too similar to something else. Like, just recognize that I've seen it. Like, I'm really trying to do the right thing here. Don't be a douche.
Absolutely. But yeah, shout outs, Pew Pew Laser. Congratulations. You are the winner of the Type 6 set. So that's off to you. A little golf clap there.
Oh yeah. And it's Stuart Little, but I'm at the top. I think you just messaged me, but someone did. But thank you very, very, like, again, this was such a refreshing stream. Now I'm not going to be able to sleep because I'm like, fuck yeah, it was a good stream. Hooray. Now it's time to go to bed, but I've got too much fucking energy. So, damn you.
Well,
I'm excited. I want to go back and watch this stream and I never do that. So excited.
If you ever want to talk about localization and all the weirdness of various other countries' keycap layouts and things, I'd be happy to do that, or whatever you want to drag me on here for. That'd be great.
Oh yeah, well, we'll get you back on, especially, I mean, I'm sure there's way more stuff in the works for you, obviously. So excited to have you back.
All right.
So
thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. So we're going to raid, I believe he's about to start. They're about to start Grandmaster Ong. So I'm going to get that set up now. Saturday, Eric, what are you doing?
Saturday, I will be building a Baka 60 polycarb, so come hang out. That'll happen at noon Central Time, right here, twitch.tv/mechsondeck. So if you haven't, go ahead and give the channel a follow, and then join our Discord as well. And then go freaking check out Type 6 when it releases next Monday. We will be doing Keyboard of the Week next week. We're going to do it early, so... but yeah, thank you again, no pun intended. Really appreciate you coming out. It's been an absolute pleasure. Honestly, probably the best interview we've had in quite a while.
Long time.
So thank you so much.
That means a lot. Thank you.
So.
Absolutely. So, yeah, here we go. Starting raid, and now hands off, so I don't cut us off like I did 3 weeks ago.
All right. Well, coming out Saturday, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.